Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex, and don't make me laugh, we're landing at episode 591. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
How are you guys?
Very good, thank you. Long time no hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think your
crackly
crackle's
again.
back.
Oh man. Okay, hold on. By now.
Yep. Yay.
Better? Yep, still there.
Nope, no, you're good. Sounds good now.
Okay. I'm going to scooch back from my desk just a little bit so I don't touch anything accidentally.
Maybe you got
Make sure you project more.
you got a short, or you're got a ground issue. Strange.
I'm in the next room. Can you hear me now? I'm coming to you from the kitchen.
You sound like you're coming to us from 1937.
Well, my kitchen hasn't been redecorated since 1937.
All right. Well, have you guys done anything ground shattering that people should know about? All right. Well, let's talk some Doctor Who then.
Work.
We're planning a trip to St. Louis, but haven't got there yet.
Oh, that'll be fun. Yeah.
I think so. The ladies have never been. It's been since last century that I was there. So
1938.
Yeah. We had to go while they were redoing my kitchen.
Last time you were there, the ark wasn't even built.
Yeah, no, they were still.
Well, the ark wasn't built either.
Still in the planning stages.
That was even further back.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about the two new Doctor Who stories. The season is back on, and we're going to be talking about the Robot Revolution and Lux. Keith, you got a synopsis for us for Robot Revolution?
I sure do. When robots from outer space kidnap nurse Belinda Chandra, the Doctor embarks on an epic intergalactic quest to get his new friend back home to Earth.
I'm going to give this a bum bum bum.
Yeah, I would agree. I would concur. I think this was a really, really good start to the season. And I think this is the strongest start of Ncuti's 2 seasons so far. I think this is the strongest episode, even introducing a new companion. I think that the Church on Ruby Road was good. It was a lot of fun, but this one really kind of was more of a solid, still kind of fantasy based, but very solid episode. Keith, you want to go first?
When you say you're this is the most solid opening of a season
of Ncuti's 2 seasons.
Of his 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Now, are you meaning opening episode of a season, as in there's only been 2 and this is the stronger? Or are you
yes, this is the stronger of the 2.
This is the best episode of his tenure so far?
I wouldn't go that far, but this is in his top, for me, this is in probably the top 5 of his episodes. Okay. Yeah. I guess I was making that a little more grand. Of the 2 seasons, this was a much solid start. Let's put it that way.
Well, and you threw me because on a technicality, to be pedantic, the Church on Ruby Road was not the start of the season.
That's true. That was the Christmas special.
That was a holiday special.
You're
so
right.
You're comparing it to Space Babies.
Was Space Babies the first one?
Space Babies was the first one of the season.
Oh, then this is way more. This is way better off the foot. I was thinking Church of Ruby Road. Church on Ruby Road.
Running through all this in my mind, going, well, he's not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that you've got me on track, it's way better start for a season.
Sorry. Okay, go ahead. Well, Keith, start us off.
Yeah, go ahead, Keith.
But there's two different benchmarks we can compare it to. One, the beginning of a season, and one, the introduction of a new character or a new companion.
That's
and I think,
true.
Glenn, where you were heading was the introduction of a new companion.
Yeah, and I think that's where my brain was.
I gotcha.
It's definitely, I liked it a lot better than Space Babies, although Space Babies, I still, because of the humor in it, found it enjoyable and just fun, popcorn stuff. Yeah. But I don't know if I liked it quite as much as the Church of Ruby Road, just because the mystery of, like, Ruby and everything with that, I think was a little deeper than what this is. I think this is going to be it's just a different style of mystery going around the companion this time around. and it doesn't even seem to be necessarily about the companion based off of what we see in the next episode. So it's kind of, while I think we can make comparisons, I think the mysteries are different enough that it's kind of hard to really draw good parallels there. But I agree with you, Glenn. I really enjoyed this story. I like the retro design of all the robots, and the idea that somehow this star certificate winds up forming a civilization where she is now their queen is such a clever, fun idea that I think only Doctor Who could pull off. I like Belinda a lot. I thought she was fantastic and really rolls with everything way better than I kind of would anticipate someone to, but I like that about her. And then I thought while quick and kind of just lightly brushed on, I thought the overall villain and what's truly going on was interesting and good to incorporate, but I felt like there could be more depth added to it.
Well, did anybody see
the
that
AI commentation and the toxic masculinity part of it?
Did anybody see that coming though? Because I was quite surprised that it was him in the AI setup.
I was definitely surprised.
Oh, I didn't see it coming at all. I had no idea it was him.
I would agree, Keith, too, that I think I would have liked that villain to be a little deeper and explored a little bit more. On the other hand, I think they were kind of going for that fantasy aspect, and I think with the amount of time that they had to develop that story and introduce us to a character, I just didn't feel like they had enough time. But I was like, you kind of felt like it was a little bit empty or a little bit two-dimensional. I would have liked a little more depth to that idea.
Yeah. Well, and with them having to kind of try to explain how all of this is even happening, I don't know how they could have fit time to flesh that villain out a little bit more.
Right.
Because there's a lot of, you got to wrap your brain around how some of this, and I don't know if they fully gave a suitable explanation, and I just kind of rolled with it anyways, of, the timey-wiminess of what's going on in the story. But I think part of that is because that's tying into the mystery of whatever's happening on May 24th or 25th. So I think that's part of that. Once we kind of, I think, learn about that, I think it'll help make this story make a little bit more sense, and things will click into place a little more.
Yeah, like they were spreading some breadcrumbs here, but hopefully it'll pull it together. Yeah, like you said, the big reveal.
That's certainly true. There's a lot going on in this episode. And to Keith's point about only Doctor Who could have pulled this kind of thing off with the star chart, Star Trek called, and the author of Chicago Mobs of the 1920s would like to have a word with you.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
But,
well, I meant also including like the retro chic designs of everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun.
In the modern age.
There was a lot of this that kind of felt borrowed in a way. The robots felt like Smile if they had grown up. Just the little robots,
the little
with the
emoji robots.
and,
yeah.
It's like these are the big brothers to them. And then the guy in the big suit that's the bad guy. That's kind of Max, and from the Voyage of the
Damned.
The Damned. Thank you. None of that was to its detriment. It was all pieces lifted that made sense for them to be lifted in the way that they were, if in fact they were lifted. We're gonna take a bunch of this kind of stuff and throw it together. And the fact that this this guy, when they do the flashback and reveal why she broke up with him, everybody, I watched it with Shai and Mel, and both of them were bristling. Keep in mind, Shai's 9 at this point. And she's watching this going, and Mel's shaking her head, and it's just like, oh no, get out of there, honey. This is no good. It's like, yeah, no wonder this guy's kind of a loser. But the way that the fact the star chart does wind up being in two places at the same time. That it was taken by the robots and then taken by the robots. It was like that. That was actually clever. I thought of how that was twisted around to do that. And bonus points for giving us a full-on Blavenovich limitation effect.
Yeah.
For as much as we talk about don't touch the baby, Rose, I feel like we touch the baby quite a bit and nothing really happens. And this was a rather satisfactory, even though they never said it. I don't know if that was a...
I was a little surprised that they didn't at least name drop that, but then again, they're trying to cater to a lot of new viewers too, that I think they're also trying not to play into, the past too much, so as to confuse people.
Technobabble bridge too far.
Yeah.
But other than that, I have very minor quibbles with this episode overall. I agree. I think it was fun. It was exciting. It's everything that an opening episode of Doctor Who should be. Mm-hmm. And it does a fine job of establishing this new companion who, at this point in the story, is not really a companion. She didn't want to be there. Right. She just wants to go home.
Yep.
Right.
The fact that there's a mystery built up around this companion, although admittedly the mystery is more about what happens on May 24th, I think, than necessarily the companion herself. So getting a little shades of Clara and Impossible Girl. But I'm intrigued enough to see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if it'll come back around as well, since obviously the Doctor was looking for her for some reason, and I don't remember there being any drop about that previously, was there? Did someone send him on the way that we saw?
Well, that's another thing is, I can't remember now why he was already looking for her in order to try to stop her from going to the planet or being taken to that planet, because he was already at her apartment, but just too late. And I can't remember if that had something to do with the loop back or not.
Hospital too.
Yeah, right.
Which I didn't get the impression that it was, because he didn't kind of get pushed back into the planet's past until he was going up alongside the spaceship.
And they had that little time rift thing they went through.
The first warble that we see. Yeah. And I don't remember anything from Joy to the World referencing it, so maybe there's some spin-off media we didn't know about?
Maybe. I don't think so, but I bet whatever this May 24th thing that's happening, maybe we also will be included in why the Doctor was already looking for her as well. Maybe that's part of the mystery. Hope so. I say I really liked the dynamic with that team, how the Resistance were very much working, together against these robots. But I thought it was really important that they had that one character that kind of didn't trust her, but still realized that she's the one that, has to be protected. And so there was kind of that conflict with him, because he was very angry that she was the cause of all this. But on the other hand, the Doctor's, reassuring him that, that it's not her fault, and he's still going along with it. I thought that was kind of a cool dynamic to have that kind of character in there that was very, upset over the fact that they were having to protect her. And then that's kind of what pushes her to go ahead and confront the AI, because she realizes that, this is, even though I'm not doing it on purpose, it is ultimately my fault. So that character kind of pushes that story further, gives her a reason to go in there and decide that she's going to, this is her problem to deal with, which I liked.
Yeah, and I especially like that because of where they go with her. Right. And he doesn't stay the jerk the whole time. He kind of starts off as the cliche, oh, you're that member of the militia, and then kind of transcends it eventually, which is nice. I also really like Scoot, the little robot.
Little robot.
That thing was really cute. Sweep, 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 sweep.
And an integral part of the climax there, the finale.
Yeah, which I thought was nice to have it come back around there.
Especially when you keep showing us this cute little robot that seems kind of out of place. You know, there must be a reason why you're showing me the gun twice. You're going to fire it in the third act.
Yeah. It's not there just to be merchandising.
Right.
Which is what it seemed like at first.
Yes, yes.
Oh, look, it's like a Cyberman. Okay.
Cuter.
Yeah, it is cuter. Depending on the Cyberman. It needs a mustache.
Ah. Well, what else about this one?
Simply saying it's nice to see that there was a lot of agency spread around as well.
Yes, yes.
Dear Disney, if you want to market a cute little robot to me, I can be parted with some cash.
Well, they need to partner with a Roomba and sell that as a Roomba.
Well, there you go. You know, I just
too much to ask for, Keith.
I just got an ad for a new vacuum robot that has that same kind of, you know, he almost had kind of this treadmill interior that was picking things up, and I saw an ad for one of these vacuum robots that kind of has that same. They cut away to the inside of it, and they show this little almost like not a conveyor belt, like a tank tread, and that's almost kind of the way that when he was sweeping things up, as he'd go up to him and pull them in, and it kind of looked like it pulled it in like a fax or something. And that's what this kind of reminded me of. So maybe they're on there. Maybe just put some arms and a head on it, and you've got that.
Yeah, polish.
So I bought Mel one, and we've named it Claptrap. Well, it's officially a Dustin. But I really wanted to put giant googly eyes on it, and she would not let me. I hope you have better luck than I did.
Well, do you want to move along to Lux?
Oh, please, oh, please, oh, please, oh, please.
The Doctor's quest to get Belinda home takes the TARDIS to Miami in 1952, where an abandoned cinema is hiding a terrifying secret. Can the Doctor uncover Lux's power?
This is almost the greatest episode of Doctor Who ever.
Oh, is that right? Wow. So I'm going to let you go first, Sean, because I think you can justify it, and I almost agree with you. This is one of those that I sat and I watched, and I kept thinking, I shouldn't like this. I shouldn't like the structure of this. I shouldn't like what
this shouldn't be working.
Yeah, it shouldn't be working. I shouldn't be enjoying how meta this episode is. But when I was done, I was like, I love the hell out of that. That was such a good episode. But I'm going to let you go first, Sean.
Agreed. I love the setting, which instantly the mental filing cabinet flew open and the research button came out and was like, have they ever done anything set in a movie theater before? Couldn't find one. So, all right, I'm here for whatever this is. This is going to be great. The Scooby-Doo reference twice. Yes, I'm on board with it. That's literally a cranky old caretaker in a haunted theater. When you gotta, so that was awesome. I loved the setting of it, that we were doing 1950s Miami, that we were kind of tackling that head on early on in the run. I liked how it was handled with the racism questions. I loved Alan Cumming and his portrayal of this Lux character.
Who sounds just absolutely nothing like Alan Cumming. He did such a good voice.
And it's technically a very different, Lux is a very different character from the cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
And so he was able to, bounce back and forth between those worlds. Like you, Glenn, I wasn't sure that I was enjoying how meta it was getting until you put it in context of, okay, we've been captured, we've been thrown and imprisoned in a frame of film, and now we're pulling the Looney Tune jokes. And it's like, this is so smartly done, and yet still so tongue-in-cheek.
Mm-hmm.
And just flabbergasted impressed with the whole thing all the way through it until we get up to the end. And then, honestly, felt like it fizzled out a little bit for me.
Oh, yeah?
Whereas the other members of Pantheon have been these genuine, nightmarish enemies that the Doctor could not defeat. And we kind of felt like we were going right up to the brink. and just, oh my God, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
This one felt like, here you go, we're going to give you exactly what you want because you didn't take into account that it's going to do this. And he expanded and became everything, everywhere, all at once. It was kind of like, is that all we get? Just, maybe because it was a cartoon character, I feel like maybe we were robbed a little bit of the danger of this. It's so strange because it was there at the beginning. When he climbs off the screen into this strange 3D, it's like, oh my, it's terrifying. Then at the end, I just don't feel like they stuck the landing necessarily with the potential of what this thing could have been. Maybe I'm wrong.
So,
but
that's... Let me address that because let me address that real quick because I kind of feel like I was relieved that we didn't have to go to the means of something so, because it seems like you continue to try to one up yourself when you've got an unstoppable being. And so I think I was kind of relieved with the fact that there was more of a simple solution for this one. And then it was just, gluttony that sort of destroyed the being. I think the thing that was even scarier than it stepping out of the movie theater was near the end when it is actually forming into
a 3D.
Yeah, a three-dimensional being. That to me was creepy as heck. And it almost put he wasn't as colorful. It almost kind of dulled the character a little bit, which made it even more creepier. And so to me, and the doctor, pretty much being to a point where he can't do anything, I thought that was good. The thing that was throwing me off was they were so hard trying to light that film on fire. And I thought that film isn't going to do anything. What is the end game here? And It wasn't until the back wall blew out that I realized, oh, okay, they're using the sunlight. So that was a nice, refreshing kind of resolution to me as well, because I thought, I don't know how the burning the place down or trying to use the fire against him is going to do anything until it was revealed what the point of that was. And they did, they telegraphed that earlier, talking about how flammable the old celluloid film was and everything. And so or explosive even. And so it just really worked for me. So I was kind of glad when that was what they used to devise. It was almost like dispatching the vampire with sunlight, except for it was giving it more of what it wanted rather than burning it. So I like that. I thought it was cool.
I did think the threat from him wasn't as imminent as it could have been. While going through it, he was creepy and scary, and bad for the people who were in the theater and bad for the Doctor and Belinda. But the overall threat to humanity didn't seem as great. I know there was a reference in there that he wanted to go see a nuclear explosion.
Going for a hydrogen bomb.
But it just felt like it was like kind of a last minute, here's why we need to make sure he's stopped and not just let him live, sort of thing, as opposed to an overall motivation from the get-go.
It also sort of seemed like it knew that it couldn't go out into the light because it would be too much. But I think that...
so why would going after a nuclear bomb help?
Well, because I think the idea is that if you could plunge the world into darkness and then you've got kind of a gauged amount of light to absorb, but knowing that the sunlight would be too much, but then when given the opportunity to have the sunlight, that's where I say the gluttony goes in, because he becomes just enamored and brought into, okay, I'm going to give myself to it. So I don't know. I like that. I thought it was cool.
I should have realized that the Pantheon was going to be the villain in the beginning of this, because the parallels to the beginning of, what was episode 2's name with Maestro? As I watched it, I went, they're doing the exact same thing as they did in that episode, down to the montage of clothes and dancing, and it was like, it's the exact same thing. And it makes sense. He was laying the breadcrumbs of, we're going to talk about another Pantheon villain.
Well, and until I sort of figured what was going on when they went out and the letters had fallen off the sign and it showed Harbinger. I realized, okay, this is another Pantheon god. And then I remembered there was a set clip from like a year ago that showed that marquee, but I had completely forgotten about it. But then when it fell off and I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, I remember this was going to introduce another god, and this is what the new god is. So
that was such a great reveal when he does the laugh and you see that on the marquee. Such a great reveal. Because they do kind of, in the previous season, try to make you think that everything was building up to Sutek.
Yes.
But I never really fully believed that, and still don't. So obviously there's something else, I think, bigger coming as these harbingers are still around.
Oh, it's when you look at how big a villain Sutek was, when you look at how big a villain Maestro was, and then realize that these are all second bananas in the pantheon to whatever is still coming. That is what I think is just. I am there. I'm so there. Bring it on. I'm ready.
Well,
and it out anymore.
But
ready.
It's funny because I thought Sutek was it. I thought Sutek was the big thing, and then I never really felt like they implied that there was something more than that coming after last season. But this does imply that, okay, there's even more.
It makes me nervous that it's not going to live up to whatever, the hype that they're building for it.
Well, that's
I sincerely hope it does, but that makes me worried that because these villains have been so good, then the biggest, baddest one at the very end of all of this needs to be as better than all of the ones that came before it, and I don't know how they're going to top some of these.
Yeah.
We think it could be somebody we've already met.
You mean Mrs. Flood?
Well, I don't think it's Mrs. Flood. I think Mrs. Flood is somebody important, and I think Mrs. Flood is somebody else, but I don't think Mrs. Flood is the big bad that we're playing towards.
I think she's another harbinger.
That would make sense.
I was just curious if the big bad is somebody that we've already met.
Omega.
Like that level of villain returning.
I don't know. Maybe.
Definitely one up for my rewatch pile.
Oh, absolutely.
Man, it was good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, anything else on these two?
I feel so bad when we all agree on them because the episodes kind of go quick and we all sit around and go, yeah, man, it was good.
That was good. We loved it.
Yeah, it was good.
Good stuff.
Okay, well, moving on.
That's okay.
I think next week I will take a contrary opinion just to be different.
Just to spite us.
just to inject some life into things and go, no, I didn't like it.
Well, speaking of next time, until next time, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
I got a twofer. I'm keeping that.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.